Finally Friday. Oh, I love that Superman cereal. Not the actual cereal that you eat, but, you know, the old cereal. People are lining up in the chat. There's Kevin, there's Malone. Who else is going to show up today? Finally Friday. Finally Friday is being brought to you this week by Major Spoilers VIP and Patreon members from around the world. If you want to get in on the action, get access to a bunch of bonus content, point your browser to patreon.com/Major Spoilers. Either open another window or do it after the show, if you would. Thanks. Happy Friday to each and every one of you. Whether you are watching live or watching in the replay, I hope that your Friday is a good one and that you are ready to head into the weekend. Now, here's one of the problems that I always have with Finally Friday. Sometimes something will come up right at the last minute, and I had to cancel like I did last week. It's okay, everybody's fine. But then always coming back the week after, it's really slow to get everyone into the chat. So maybe we'll get a few more people to show up. Spread the word on that social media, and let's get some people to come in. Second thing that's always a problem is when I am supposed to bring in a guest. And then the guest was like, hey, could I be on your show this week? I'm like, sure, let's talk about stuff. And then the guest gets busy and doesn't show up and doesn't let me know that she's not going to be here this week. But that's okay. That music makes Friday feel like Friday? Yeah, it does. Oh, look, Malone has played some tennis after quite a while, and now his legs hurt like heck. So no Ashley Victoria Robinson today. I thought she was going to be here today, so you've only got me. So what have I been doing? I honestly couldn't tell you. Just the other day, I should say, it just felt like it was Monday yesterday. And here we are at Friday. School is about ready to start back up, which means I've got a lot of prep work to do. It means my kids are getting geared back up for school, which means, and I don't know if anybody has kids. Any of you watching have kids. But man, going back to school means you got to get vaccinated, and you have to have doctor's appointments, and you have to have the dentist appointments, and you got to have your eyes checked, and you got to do all this crazy stuff. Plus, it's, I think this is we had cross-country practice 2 days this week. But, yeah, a lot of this week has just been running around and picking up kids and taking them and just being, I need to get a minivan. That's what I need. I need to steal it from my wife, and she can drive the truck around. Okay, we can talk about secret stuff. What secret stuff are we going to talk about? If you guys have questions or comments or anything, feel free to ask them. I'll answer some questions today. Did you guys see the news that Andy Serkis is going to direct Venom 2? He tweeted this out. That he tweeted out an image of this. Let me flip over here to the web's cam. There it is. With this idea that he was going to be directing the movie and working closely with, what's his name? The guy that played Venom. I forget his name. To actually work on the script and get it put together so that everybody can have a good Venom 2, Electric Boogaloo. We talked about Kevin Conroy showing up on the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they specifically say Bruce Wayne, not Batman. So we know this is old man Old Man Bruce Wayne. We talked about that this week on the Major Spoilers podcast. Hopefully you've downloaded that and listened to it. Another thing we talked about was that, or is that, Disney has announced that it's going to package the HBO Max, the Disney Streaming Plus, and ESPN for $12.99 a month. And my contention is that is a win-win situation, in that there's no way Disney is going to lose money off of this deal. Because all the Marvel stuff, all the Disney stuff, all the Star Wars stuff is being pulled off the other streaming services. The Simpsons no longer on Hulu or wherever that they were at, Amazon. And now all on this Disney streaming service. Which means that, and of course Disney owns Hulu completely now. So it's just like money, 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 money. $12.99. People want to get that good Star Wars TV series, the original series. Looking to get those original Marvel series. Looking to get, I'm guessing some, we don't know, I don't know much about the ESPN part of this deal. But if they're going to package some live sports with that, my goodness, that is going to be a package that everyone is going to want to have. There's no way Disney is going to lose money on this deal. And if they are, they won't lose it for very long. Disney has made so much money, they could actually lose money for about 3 years, 5 years, 6 years before they call it quits. But knowing Disney and knowing how much of the world that they control, the world of media, my guess is Disney's going to be making lots of money. Now, Matthew doesn't think so. He thinks, they're going to lose money. He's kind of negative, but I think they priced this just right to where people are going to jump on board that $12.99. It's not like, so the CW Seed, we don't know how well they have done. What was that, $9.99 a month for CW Seed? And a lot of people would get it just to watch the Star Trek show, and then they would cancel it, not sticking around for any of the other original content or things that they have. And that's because I think the main reason why people were going to CW Seed was only for Star Trek, and CW Seed only had one show, Star Trek. Disney's going to launch with a lot of stuff, and they're going to keep stuff cranking out month after month and year after year to where there's going to be no reason to cancel your subscription. I mean, I made the fool mistake of canceling my HBO subscription a couple of months ago and then realized, oh, wait, that Deadwood movie is coming out. I need to keep that. Oh, the Watchmen series is coming out. I need to keep that. Oh, this thing is coming out. I need to keep that. With Disney doing that with the Marvel and the Star Wars and the Disney original content stuff, I don't think people are going to fall into the CW or the CBS All Access. That's what I'm thinking of, CBS All Access. I don't think people are going to fall into that of, I'm just going to buy it for this 1 week to binge watch everything and then unsubscribe. I want to know how much, I want to know when and how much it will be here. Yeah, so you're in one of the Nordic countries. The thing is, I don't think you're going to have a small selection. I think you're probably going to get all of the exact same things that we here in the States get. Disney streaming service launching here in the United States in the fall, October, I think, October, November. I don't know if there will be ads injected into it, but for $12.99, I really can't see Disney injecting ads. Maybe for their live sports, if they're going to do any live sports with that. I know whenever I watch Amazon Prime, I went ahead and, I don't like ads, so I went ahead and paid the extra $1 or $2 or whatever it was to get ads away from Amazon Prime and also off my YouTubes. And so it's a good deal. I don't have any problem with that, and I'll probably plunk down. In fact, I know I'll plunk down the money for the for this Disney streaming service. Yeah, Disney is more global in their approach, and it wouldn't surprise me if they launch in other countries before they actually launch it here, like a couple of weeks before everyone else. Who's that? Balooey says, since I have DC Universe, I wonder most what the Warners will do to differentiate the two services. My guess is that they won't. Now, there was an interesting interview with Dan DiDio and Jim Lee over at ICV2.com this week, where obviously they can't tell you what's happening with those services, but they did make it clear that they had no idea what stuff would be moving over to the Warner Brothers streaming service, what stuff was going to be kept at the Disney, what was going to be kept on the DC streaming service, the DC Universe service. So my guess is that DC Universe will become part of the Warner Brothers package. And I bet now that Disney has announced their $12.99 package to get all three of those, my guess is maybe they'll keep DC Universe its own thing, but they'll try and package the Warner Brothers stuff along with it, is my guess. And I'm okay with that. There's still some question, though. A lot of people still rumor mongering about the demise of DC Comics. I hate these people that, and I kind of got crabby this week, because there are definitely some people out there who I think are gleefully giddy. They're sitting there. You could see this twinkle in their eye. Like when a kid has had too much sugar, you can kind of see it in their eye, like they're excited for the potential prospect of DC shutting down and all their properties being sold off or licensed somewhere else. And I think that's really a wrong approach. I mean, if you are getting giddy over the prospect of a major comic book publisher failing, that's actually really, really bad. Because that's not going to lift the boat. The rising tide lifts all boats. No, a ship sinking isn't going to allow smaller publishers to rise to the top. It's just going to make people no longer want to go to the store. So I'm not sure that people who are getting giddy over the prospect of potentially, and again, this is all rumors, all speculation, so don't put anything into it. But because people keep bringing it up, if you're someone that is actually getting excited about the prospect of DC being sold or having the publisher shut down, man, that's a bad attitude and a wrong attitude to have. So I kind of got a little irate at that this week. But if you go back and read that ICV2 article, Dan DiDio specifically says, hey, we cut back significantly on the number of books that we release each month. In fact, the data over at majorspoilers.com, again, let's flip back over to the website. I've got the, here it is. Diamond announces the top products for July. And if we scroll down and we look, DC still had 26% of the, 27% of the unit share. Yeah, that's a lot smaller now. Marvel has 45%. But when you look and see how many books they shipped in the month, DC only shipped 86 books, individual issues, in July. That's almost twice as many as, almost twice, not quite, as IDW Publishing, and almost not quite 30% more than Image Comics. And I've been talking about the fact that DC has been cutting back on the number of titles that they've released each month. And Dan DiDio recognizes that and said this is definitely something that we are doing. And he says that it's allowing us to focus and work on telling some more compelling stories, to get products that people are very, very interested in, to explore ways that we can expand some of our new imprints. The, the DC, it's not DC Kids. Whatever the young YA version of DC is now. And maybe the DC Black Label. But he said because they've cut back, it's actually boosted their revenue. They're actually keeping more of that money. They're actually making more money because they've cut back on the number of books that are releasing. So they're not spending money on books that are not selling. And if you're looking at a company, or if you're a bean counter, because that's what it boils down to, is some bean counter at AT&T. If you're a bean counter and you're looking at, what's the profit margin? Oh, look, the profit margins for DC Comics have been steadily growing month after month. Hey, maybe we should keep this around. As opposed to, let's sell it all off. Let's sell Batman to IDW, and let's sell, Superman to Marvel, and let's sell Shazam to somebody else. That would be a really bad mistake for future monies. Yeah, it's not DC Zoom, though. There's DC Inc. and DC Zoom. Those two were basically shut down and formed into whatever the new DC Kids. Maybe it's DC Kids. I don't think it's just DC Zoom. Malone says, hey, that makes sense. Only the top 50 or so really sell any copies. Now, we'll know what the totals are on Monday. I've got the data here in front of me, but I can't share it until Monday. If we look at the top 10 books by units shipped, and again, units shipped don't mean, sellers. This is how many books that were shipped to the comic book shops. This doesn't reflect how many of those copies were actually sold. But I do see some potential problems depending on, again, if you're a bean counter and you're looking at this, you might look and say, oh, House of X #1. Oh, we ship the most units of that, and it's a $6 book. Maybe we should think about raising all the prices of our books to $6. Powers of X, $6 book. It's #2. Amazing Spider-Man, an $8 book. Well, if that's #3 and those other two are 1 and 2, then surely the market can handle a $6.99 book. I do find it very interesting. Now, there's an asterisk here besides The Walking Dead 193, and that is because that's the reprints on that one. So DC didn't even claim a top 4 slot. Their #5 was Batman Last Night on Earth #2, Batman Curse of the White Knight #1, The Batman Who Laughs #7, Black Cat, another Marvel book, at 8, Immortal Hulk at 9, and Batman 74. So yeah, somebody was joking about all the Batman books. Yeah, Batman. Helped make that top 10 space fill up. Now, we'll get to see where all the rest of the DC books fall, but my guess is there's a lot more DC books in that top 20 than we might expect. Yeah, comic books are expensive. Also in that ICV2 article, and you guys should really read it, it's ICV2.com. Jim Lee is like, the one area that we're really surprised that is flat is digital comic sales. And we can't figure out why digital comic sales are flat. With so many devices out there, so many Kindles, so many iPads, so many other mobile devices, why people aren't buying comic books digitally. We haven't figured that out yet. The answer is right there in the comments section. Wow, comic books are expensive. And the comic book industry made a stupid mistake, an idiotic mistake, when it decided to placate to the brick and mortar stores. The brick and mortars were like, oh, if you sell digital comics less than what the print comics are, we're not going to be able to stay open and stay in business. If you drop the price below the cover price of a print comic, we won't carry your comics in our shops anymore. And the industry was like, oh, we can't have that. And so the price of digital comics is exactly the same as print comics. For nothing. Digital comics are priced I paid $8 for the digital copy of Amazing Spider-Man #25, and all I have is my iPad and a bunch of ones and zeros to show for that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is ridiculous, and that is where the largest profit margin lies. So if DC really wants to, really wants to show how progressive they can be, and wants to increase those digital comic sales, they'll knock $2 off every digital copy that they sell instantly. Day of release, knock $2 off. If the industry is as flat as it is, then lowering the price isn't going to do anything, right? Wrong. You're going to see digital comics rise when people realize, oh, I don't have to go to the comic book store. I don't have to deal with bad customer service. I don't have to deal with rude people at the brick and mortar store. I'm not saying all stores are like that. But if I can get my digital comic for $2 less than what the physical comic is charging, then yeah, I'm going to go digital. And then you're going to see the rise of digital. But yes, you're going to see a lot of brick and mortars whine and complain. Figure out a different way. I can't buy the latest Batman statue on my iPad. I can't buy that through the Comixology store. I can't buy a giant absolute edition of The Watchmen or Hellboy in a digital format. Think of some ways that you can change. Think of some ways that you can update yourself. Comic book industry, and this is the other thing that I realized, comic book industry and government organizations, state organizations probably more specifically, are super slow and super resistant to change. And it is so frustrating. I have now it's going to be going on now 2 years, been trying to argue why the department that I do some teaching for, why they need to upgrade their equipment and ways that they can do it. And everyone's like, no, we can't do that. Can't do that. We've never done that before. That's not going to work. You haven't tried it. You haven't tried it. Well, we spent all this money before. I guess we should just upgrade the current crappy equipment that we have that nobody's using, because that's the way it's been done, and we're too afraid to try something different. That's the problem with the comic book industry. They're super afraid to try something different. That's why we get a lot of the chromium covers, these variant covers. And again, that's Dan DiDio points out. I know I'm sounding like a grumpy guy today. Maybe I need a nap. That's what I need. But Dan DiDio points out that the industry looks good because so many variant copies are being shipped. That's artificially propping up the numbers and making the industry look robust and whole, when in fact that's not the case. And he's concerned about a repeat of the 90s all over again. This is why we see there are legitimate concerns from store owners who are saying there's too many variant copies. It's hurting our business, especially if you have a, like a 100-to-1 or 1,000-to-1 chase variant. I know, I need some pep. I already closed that down, or I'd play a pep commercial. This is why we see so many reboots and relaunches and number ones in those top spots. This is why we're seeing retreads and rehashings of stories all over again. Because people are resistant to change. Change is good. That's the part I don't understand why people can't get it through their head. Change is good. And some people might say, well, what if you make a change and it's bad? What if it turns out to be wrong? No. We get to learn from our mistakes. And we get to either reemphasize things that we've said before, or we get to figure out a new way of doing something. That's the best part about making a mistake, is learning from that mistake and taking a different route, going a different vector, finding a different path. That's the best part about change. I welcome change. Now, I may not enjoy it when someone comes and says, well, you got to do this. That's change. I don't want to do it. But I recognize that change is very valuable and very important. If Major Spoilers wasn't open to change, man, let's go back to the Wayback Machine. Wayback Machine. Let's go back to the Internet Archives and look up Major Spoilers. Whoops. Got to type correctly. Not used to this keyboard. There we go. Let's go back to 2006 and pop up this ugly monstrosity. Whoops, that one's not there. July 18th, not there. Come on, Wayback Machine. What you got? Let's go to 2007. Okay, let's see if we got this one. From February 2nd of 2007. We could go back and look like this if we weren't open to change. Superman's a rock star? What is this? Oh, none of the images are there. That's the bad thing. I know what this one's about. This is about him singing. Oh, there's somebody trying to call in. I'm going to stop that because we're almost out of time. Yeah, so that's Major Spoilers without change. This is Major Spoilers with change. Willing to update. Willing to make the world... willing to roll with it. No, change is stressful. Not everyone is equipped to handle it. But for better or worse, change is necessary. You don't change, you die, you falter, you grow old. Yeah, I mean, there's some, back when Extra Life was actually a thing. Yeah, Extra Life was we had them as a little, ad space person. Here's some pictures. Kiss does comics again. And look, I bet there's probably another Kiss in comics story that's up right now. Look at that DC logo. Man, DC has changed their logos a number of times. Don't fear change. Don't fear change. Change is good. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I'm going to ask you to go out this weekend. How about I'm going to give you a week until next Finally Friday. Go out and do something that you wouldn't normally do. Okay? Malone was saying that he went out and played tennis after a long time. That's not something it sounds like he normally does. It sounds like he had fun. Go out and do something that you don't normally do. Even if it's for the first time. And don't worry about, making a fool of yourself or embarrassing yourself in front of other people. Just go out and try it. You haven't gone to your public library in more than 5 years? Go visit your local public library. You you're not a fan of a certain genre of movies? Go and watch a movie from that area. Go for a walk. Go for a bike ride. Go for a hike. Go do something that's different. Something that you would be maybe a little afraid to do. Now, I'm saying don't go out there and this week I'm going to go jump out of an airplane and parachute for the first time. And I'm deathly afraid of heights, all because Steven said so. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Unless, if you want to, that'd make for a fascinating story. I know I'd land and there'd be a huge wet spot on my jumpsuit. Maybe a little smelly spot, too. Yeah, get outside. Go find out what the big deal is about the outdoors. Read a book that you might normally read. Go read some comics from a publisher that you might not normally read comics from. You've never heard of what Dynamite does, or you've never heard what Boom does, or Archie Comics. Go pick up one of those comics and read it. Go do something different. Eat a different food. Try a different food. That's one thing that I'm super impressed with my children is even though they may grumble, when we put new food down in front of them, they might be like, I don't know about this. They know that they have to eat it. And oftentimes they'll be like, oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And then they'll eat it. And then they'll take another bite and another bite. And next thing you know, their plate's clean. And I'm like, hey, what? I thought you said you didn't like that. Oh, it was okay. And then the next time I serve it again, they're like, oh, this was actually really good. I want to eat more of this. Kids do adapt super quickly. So there you go. All right. Don't fear change. Don't listen to all the crazy rumors. What else did we learn this week? So don't fear change. Don't fear the Reaper. Change is good. DC isn't going to be sold anytime soon. What else did we talk about this week? I don't know. Old man Schleicher started rambling. Comic books are very expensive. That's where we're going to end it this week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for checking us out. I'll be back tomorrow to do some game streaming. I think we're going to jump back into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's what I have on my calendar. So we'll go see what we can do in that world. And then we will go and do something else and have good weekends and edit videos and do things with families and maybe do something different. Take care, everybody. Here are some of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I've got a long list of people that are my favorites. Here they are. I hope that was a fun stream, Vince. Thank you. Oh, we also learned that government moves at a snail's pace. There's Zach's name. AJ Lewis's name pops up there as well. But Louie, your name just went by. There's a Cindy and a Cody and a Corey and a Craig. Devin and Diane. Got a little ditty about Jack and Diane. I wonder if there's any Jacks on this list. Garrett is on the list. I don't see any Jacks. I see Joels and Johns and Jonathans and Jordans and Carls and Kirby's. There's a Linda, but no Jack. Is Jack a name that's not even used anymore? There's Michaela, Nick and Oliver and Peter. A lot of Peters. Ryan's and Scott's. Man, look at all the Scotts.